Good evening. Settle yourself. Let your shoulders sink, let your breath slow, and let the weight of the day slip quietly away. Tonight we will wander together into a story that seems so well known, and yet it may not be quite what you imagine. The story of the fall of Rome. You have likely heard the phrase before. It carries the echo of finality. It suggests that one day Rome stood strong and eternal, and then suddenly it toppled into ruin. But when you look more closely, you will see something different. You will see not a sudden crash, but a slow, gentle fading, like the last embers of a fire, glowing long after the flames have gone. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the city of Rome at night, not in our time, but long ago. The air is warm, carrying the scent of olive oil and dust. Stone streets stretch in quiet patterns. Torches flicker in their holders, casting long shadows across marble columns. The Tiber River flows steadily, whispering as it always has. You hear distant voices, soft and low, and the faint sound of sandals brushing against stone. It feels eternal, doesn't it? It feels unshakable, as if this city, this empire, could never fade. That is the myth of Rome as everlasting. And yet, like all human things, Rome was fragile. Not fragile in the sense of weakness, but fragile in the sense of being alive, and all things alive must change. Tonight, you will walk through centuries as if in a dream. You will see emperors and senators, soldiers and slaves, poets and children. They will not shout or demand or fight in front of you. They will drift in and out of sight, like dream figures. You will glimpse them at feasts, in marble halls, on dusty roads, at crumbling walls, and through them you will feel the slow turning of time. The story of Rome's fall is not only about power and politics. It is about mood, about silence, about the rhythm of daily life. It is about the sound of hammers falling quiet in workshops. It is about markets where fewer voices echo. It is about families sitting together, wondering if tomorrow will be the same. Let yourself move with this rhythm, unhurried, unforced, each moment leading softly into the next. You do not need to hold on tightly. You can simply drift as the story drifts. As you listen, you will notice how myth and memory often blend. You will hear of barbarian invasions, and you will imagine violent crashes. But then you will be reminded that many of those invasions felt less like explosions and more like migrations. Families arriving, strangers settling, new languages spoken in the same streets. The empire did not end in one night. It changed over years and decades until it became something new. So tonight, you are not here to study a textbook. You are here to wander slowly, as if through old ruins, brushing your fingertips against cool stone, listening to the echoes of long-forgotten voices. You are here to see Rome's fall, not as a collapse, but as a twilight, beautiful, haunting, and strangely peaceful. Let the torchlight flicker in your mind. Let the river whisper at the edge of your hearing, and let us begin. Imagine yourself standing on a high hill. The air is warm and filled with the scent of dust and wild herbs. The sun is beginning to set, painting the sky with shades of gold, pink, and violet. Below you, the city of Rome stretches outward in every direction. You see rooftops of red clay tiles, glimmering faintly in the last light. You see marble columns rising, gleaming pale against the deepening sky. You see aqueducts, long, graceful arcs of stone, carrying water across valleys and into the heart of the city. Fountains whisper as water flows into basins, a sound of constant life, and everywhere there is movement. People walking, voices murmuring, carts rolling, bells ringing faintly in the distance. It is a world that feels full to the brim, full of power, full of wealth, full of stories. Rome, at its height, was not just a city. It was the heart of an empire that seemed to stretch endlessly, reaching across seas, deserts, and mountains. Close your eyes and picture a Roman forum at dusk. Shadows lengthen across the paving stones. Merchants fold away their stalls, gathering coins, stacking jars of olive oil, rolling up bolts of cloth. Children weave in and out of the crowd, laughing, chasing one another. Priests in long robes glide past with measured steps, their faces calm, their gestures practiced. And senators in white togas stroll together, speaking softly, their voices echoing between the stone walls. You might think of Rome as a place of endless noise, endless crowds, endless grandeur. But if you listen closely, there are pauses, little silences that linger between footsteps. The hush of the breeze as it slips past the temples, the soft flutter of birds returning to their nests. Rome was vast, but within its vastness there was always quiet. At its height, Rome's empire stretched further than any had before. From the damp forests of Britain, where mist clung to oak branches, to the golden deserts of Egypt, where pyramids stood like mountains of stone. From the green hills of Gaul, dotted with farms and vineyards, to the glittering cities of the East, where spices and silks drifted through the air. Everywhere there were echoes of Rome, Latin words spoken in distant marketplaces, Roman coins clinking in the hands of strangers, Roman roads stretching straight and unwavering across the land. The people of Rome believed in their eternity. And why wouldn't they? Everywhere they looked, they saw strength. Walls of stone that had stood for centuries, legions of soldiers, their armor gleaming, their banners bright, temples carved with gods and heroes watching from their pedestals. Even the sky above seemed to smile upon them, as if Rome were the chosen heart of the world. And yet, even here, even now, there were shadows. You could feel them if you looked closely. A crack in the marble, so small it seemed unimportant. A tired look in the eyes of a worker, carrying heavy stones. A whisper of discontent in the back of a tavern. Small things, tiny things, like the first fading of color in a grand tapestry. Not enough to notice fully, not yet, but the beginning of something. Still, here on this hill, as you look down, you feel the weight of greatness. The Colosseum stands like a crown of arches. Even empty, it seems alive, filled with the ghosts of countless voices. The Pantheon rises, its great dome open to the sky, as if to invite the gods themselves to look within. Bathhouses hum with warmth, filled with steam and conversation. Villas sprawl across the hillsides, their gardens fragrant with roses and lavender. And all around the streets stretch on and on, full of life. This was Rome at its height, not invincible, not eternal, but dazzling, alive and vast, a dream that felt as solid as stone. And as you stand here, letting your gaze wander across the rooftops, you might feel the same calm assurance that the Romans once felt, that nothing so grand could ever fade, that an empire so wide, so rich, so powerful must last forever. But the night sky deepens, shadows grow longer, torches flicker to life, and even in this moment of grandeur, the first hints of change are stirring. quiet and unseen, waiting. You wander now into the streets, stone beneath your feet, warm air moving gently around you. The city breathes like a living thing. It is evening, but not dark. Torches glow on doorways. Lanterns swing gently above courtyards. The last rays of the sun touch the highest columns with fire. A baker closes his stall, sweeping flour into a small pile. The smell of bread still lingers, warm and comforting. A potter lifts heavy jars into the shadow of his shop. Their clay surfaces feel cool against his skin. Children sit on a step, nibbling dates, their laughter soft as bells. Everywhere you turn, there is a sense of fullness. The world feels made, completed, strong. You see mosaics beneath your feet, tiny stones arranged in careful patterns. Waves, dolphins, vines, faces of gods. They whisper of skill, of patience, of beauty. Even the smallest corner of Rome carries a quiet pride. And above it all, the great buildings stand watch. The Senate House, its doors closed for the night, silent and heavy. The temples, their statues gazing calmly across the city. The palaces of emperors, where guards stand like statues themselves. All of it lit by the last glow of twilight. If you look to the hills beyond, you see villas with wide gardens. Cypress trees stand tall and still. Fountains trickle softly. Peacocks wander through the grass, their feathers shimmering faintly. Inside, noble families recline at low tables. They dip bread in oil, sip wine, speak in hushed voices. Musicians pluck strings, their melodies rising like threads of smoke into the night. For the people of Rome, this was the center of the world. Everything beyond was distant, foreign, other. Rome was order, Rome was peace, Rome was civilization itself. So strong was this belief that even when cracks began to show, many could not see them. Why would they? How could such a city, so vast, so adorned, ever fall? The emperors themselves seemed eternal. You picture Augustus, long gone, yet still present in memory. His calm face carved in marble, his hand lifted in quiet command. You picture Trajan, remembered for triumphs, for the great forum that bore his name. You picture Hadrian, wandering the borders, building walls where empire met wilderness. These figures were not just men. They were shadows that stretched across time, symbols of power, of stability, of destiny. Yet, as you drift among these images, you notice something. Even emperors are soft at the edges here. Not sharp, not harsh, not loud. They appear in glimpses, in gestures, in statues that gleam faintly in the torchlight. You feel them as part of the dream of Rome, not as conquerors but as silhouettes. The legions too. You can almost hear them, marching feet in steady rhythm, armor brushing softly, banners moving in the wind. But here, in the heart of the city, they are only a memory. For this is not the story of war and conquest. It is the story of stillness, of Rome when it believed itself unbreakable. And if you listen closer, beyond the noise, beyond the bustle, you may notice the silence. A silence that is not empty, but full. Full of the weight of centuries. Full of the expectation that tomorrow will be the same, and the next day, and the next year. An empire without end. That was the dream, and it was beautiful. So beautiful that even now, in your quiet room, you can almost feel it. The marble beneath your fingertips, the whisper of fountains in your ears, the warmth of evening on your skin. And yet, even dreams change. Even the brightest lights cast shadows, and even the strongest walls begin, slowly, to fade. But not yet. Not here. For now, Rome still stands, breathing, glowing, alive. You walk now through a narrow street. The stones beneath your sandals are worn smooth from countless footsteps. Walls rise close on either side, painted in fading colors, ochre, red, and white. From a window above, you hear a voice singing softly. The tune is simple, almost like a lullaby, carrying on the evening air. At the corner, a lamp glows. Its flame dances gently, flickering against the plaster walls. The scent of cooking drifts out from an open doorway. Garlic, herbs, the faint tang of wine simmering in a pot. Inside, a family sits on low stools. They lean close to one another, their faces calm in the firelight. The day's work is done. The world feels steady. The empire feels endless. Step further, and you come into a wider square. Here, a fountain murmurs, spilling cool water into a basin of stone. Children splash their hands, laughing, while their mothers call to them gently. A man dips a jug, lifting it with care, droplets catching the last shimmer of light. A soldier passes by, his armor dulled from travel. He does not look fierce. He looks weary, softened by the comforts of home. His hand brushes against the shoulder of a child as he walks. The child stares in wonder at the shine of his belt, and then runs on, carefree. Above all this, the sky deepens. One by one, stars emerge, like silver seeds scattered across the darkening blue. The moon lifts slowly, pale and watchful. Rome glows beneath it, steady and alive. From every house, every courtyard, every street, there rises a hum. Not loud, not harsh, but constant. The hum of life lived at the center of the world. And yet, if you linger here, you notice something else. The myths, the stories that Romans told themselves, stories of their eternity. They spoke of Rome as the chosen city, guided by the gods, destined to outlast time itself. They told of Romulus, the founder, raised by the she-wolf. They told of Jupiter's favor, of Mars watching over their legions, of Venus smiling upon their people. The city itself seemed wrapped in divine protection. To doubt Rome was to doubt the order of the universe. But beneath the stories, reality was softer. Rome was not a god. It was a city of people, and people are fragile. You can almost hear their quiet sighs, their tired footsteps, their laughter fading into sleep. Behind the marble, behind the power, there were always ordinary hearts beating. Children who feared the dark, mothers who worried over food, fathers who wondered if tomorrow's work would be enough. Still, in this moment, the dream was whole. The cracks too small to see, the shadows too faint to trouble the glow. Rome stood, vast and shining, its heartbeat steady, and as you wander through it, you feel that heartbeat within yourself. Slow, calm, eternal. Now picture the Tiber River again. It winds through the city like a ribbon of light. Boats drift gently on its surface, their hulls creaking, their ropes brushing against the water. Along the banks, lanterns glow, their reflections trembling in the current. You hear laughter on the decks, the clatter of amphorae, the quiet calls of oarsmen. The river carries everything: grain, wine, olive oil, people, stories. It is the lifeblood of the city. And as long as the river flows, Rome feels immortal. The hills around the city are dark now. But even in shadow, they are alive with villas and gardens, voices and music. The city does not sleep all at once. It fades slowly, house by house, voice by voice. A candle snuffed here, a curtain drawn there, until the streets fall quiet, and only the stars keep watch. Rome at its height was not only about greatness, it was about rhythm. The steady rhythm of life continuing, day after day, without thought of ending. Like your own breath, rising and falling. Like the beating of your heart, steady and calm. Rome was vast, yes, but it was also intimate. A place where one person's footsteps echoed softly against stone, and where that single sound was part of the whole. And so you drift with it. You walk through the glow of torches, past the whisper of fountains, beneath the watchful marble gods. You breathe with the city. You feel its weight, its calm, its quiet pride, and you let yourself believe, as the Romans once did, that it will never end. The night has passed. Morning comes slowly to Rome. The first light spreads across the rooftops, washing them in pale gold. The river shimmers again, steady and endless. The city stirs, doors creak open. Merchants call softly to one another. The hum of life begins anew. At first all seems the same, yet if you linger, you notice things. Small things, a chipped stone in the pavement, a roof that sags just slightly, a statue whose nose has crumbled away. These are the little cracks in the marble, harmless alone, but together they whisper of change. You pass a forum where voices echo. Senators argue, their hands gesturing wide. But listen closely. The arguments are not only about laws and justice. They are about power. They are about rivalry. Faces tighten, brows furrow, voices rise. The unity once imagined begins to fray, thread by thread. Rome at its height carried an image of order, of control. Yet beneath, there was always tension. Ambition clashing with ambition. Wealth piled high in one corner, poverty deepening in another. And though the streets still bustled, some eyes looked weary, some voices carried doubt. Picture a craftsman at his bench. His tools are sharp, his skill is steady, but fewer customers come than before. The coins he earns do not stretch as far. He shakes his head, wipes his brow, continues his work. He does not speak of collapse. He does not even imagine it. But in the rhythm of his life, something has shifted. Subtle, almost invisible. Or think of the soldiers. Legions once proud, once steady, now stretched thin. The empire is wide, so wide, and its edges restless. The Danube, the Rhine, the deserts, the mountains, all these borders press against the empire's strength, and men grow weary. Campaigns drag on, supplies falter, families wait long months, even years for their return. These are not disasters. They are not sudden storms. They are the quiet weight of too much, carried too long, like a cart overloaded, wheels creaking, axles bending. It does not break at once. It strains, it groans, it leans, and slowly the cracks appear. Even in the palaces, you can feel it. Emperors rise and fall, some remembered, some forgotten, their faces carved in marble, their names whispered in the streets. But the throne grows less steady. Plots form in shadows. Whispers ripple through corridors. One emperor replaces another, sometimes in months, sometimes in days. The dream of eternity begins to flicker, and yet, life continues. Families still gather in courtyards. Children still play in the dust. Merchants still call in the markets. To them, Rome still feels eternal. The cracks are small, almost invisible. But you, standing here, looking with softer eyes, can see them. You can hear them. In the tired sigh of the craftsman, in the thin cheer of the soldier, in the echo of a senator's weary voice. The myth of Rome was that it could never fall. The reality was that it was already changing, not falling, not yet, but shifting, breathing more heavily, growing older, like a tree that still stands tall, but whose branches begin to creak in the wind. And so you walk through the streets again. You see the beauty still. The marble still gleams. The fountains still whisper. But now, beneath it, you notice the small imperfections. And you know, even the grandest dream carries shadows. You walk now toward a market square. The sun is higher. The voice is louder. The air alive with smells. Fresh bread, herbs, the salt of fish, the sweetness of honey cakes. Merchants call in rhythmic voices, their cries echoing between stone walls. It feels alive, but if you listen, there is a different tone beneath. Coins pass more quickly from hand to hand. Some look carefully at each piece, frowning, testing its weight. Silver feels thinner, bronze worn smooth. The empire mints its coins endlessly, but they lose their shine. What once felt steady now feels fragile. Still, the crowd moves, the baskets fill, the voices hum, but deep inside, people know. The grain is dearer, the wine watered, the oil stretched thin. Not disaster, not collapse, just a quiet thinning of plenty. The cracks grow wider. Imagine a family gathered in their courtyard. The father sits with his tools set aside. The mother kneads dough. Her hands steady, but slower than before. Children chase one another in circles, their laughter filling the air. And yet, beneath the play, there is a pause. The father looks at the small pile of coins beside him. He counts. He counts again. He shakes his head, but says nothing. The children laugh louder, covering the silence. In the Senate, voices still rise. Speeches still echo against marble, but unity fades. You can hear it in the rhythm. One man speaks, another interrupts, another scowls. Hands lift, fists clench, togas swirl as men storm away. The chamber that once carried calm authority now hums with rivalry. Not always bitter, but restless. Too many men seeking power, too many shadows whispering in the background. And beyond the city walls, the empire stretches like a great tapestry. From the forests to the deserts, from mountains to seas, its threads connect, but some are fraying. Roads once smooth crack beneath the weight of endless travel. Caravans move slower. Ships hesitate in troubled waters. Messages take longer to arrive. A command from Rome does not always reach the farthest provinces in time. Distance grows heavier. The empire feels wide, but less tightly held. Picture a soldier returning from the frontier. His armor is scratched, his cloak dusty, his boots worn. He walks through the streets of Rome, but his eyes are far away. He has seen villages burned, fields trampled, borders tested. And yet, here in the city, there is laughter, music, and feasts. The two worlds feel different, almost unreal to each other. He does not speak of what he has seen. He simply walks, weary and silent, carrying the shadow of the borders with him. These are the cracks, not dramatic, not sudden, but constant, like water seeping into stone, like ivy winding through brick, slow, quiet, inevitable. And yet, for those living within it, life still felt ordinary. No one woke one morning to declare, Rome is falling. Instead, they rose, baked their bread, fetched their water, swept their steps. The fall was not an event, it was a feeling. A slow, heavy breath drawn over generations. The myth of Rome was eternity. The reality was change. But change so slow, so gentle, that it could almost be mistaken for stillness. So you stand again at the edge of the forum. Voices still rise. Children still laugh. Fountains still murmur. But you, drifting as you are, notice the faint shadows between the stones. You notice the quiet strain in voices. You notice the marble, still white, but with thin lines running through it. The cracks are there, waiting. Far from the marble streets of Rome, the empire stretches to its edges. You drift there now, slowly, as if carried on a cloud. The city fades behind you, the voices softer, the torches dim. In their place, you hear new sounds, the rush of the Rhine, cold and restless, the broad sweep of the Danube, wide and watchful, the sigh of desert winds carrying sand across stone, the silence of mountains, where snow gathers on distant peaks. Here, the borders breathe differently. There is less marble, less laughter, fewer lights. There are forts of wood and stone, their walls weathered by rain and frost. You see soldiers standing watch, their breath rising in the cold air. They lean on their spears, shift their feet, glance into the darkness. Behind them, fires burn low, warming tired hands. Voices murmur, quiet and uncertain. Life here is not the dream of eternity. It is the rhythm of endurance, of waiting, of holding a line that never seems to rest. And the line stretches far, too far. Thousands of miles of borders guarded by weary men, supplied by roads that grow brittle, commanded by voices that echo faintly from a distant city. Still, the empire holds, but you feel its weight, like a cloak too heavy, dragging at the shoulders, like a song sung too long, each note softer than the last. Return now to the city, to Rome, still glowing, still alive. The fountains still whisper, the markets still hum, the temples still rise, white against the sky. But in your mind, the borders linger, the weary soldier, the cracked road, the thin coin in a craftsman's hand, the fraying thread in the tapestry. These are the cracks in the marble, not yet breaking, not yet shattering, but there, visible, if you pause, if you look closely. They spread quietly, weaving through city and province alike, a whisper beneath the hum of life. And so, as night falls again, the city glows beneath its stars. The torches burn, the river flows. The empire dreams of eternity. But you have seen, the cracks are already there, small and hidden, waiting in silence. And beyond the borders, in forests, in plains, in distant lands, new footsteps gather, new voices murmur, new eyes watch the empire's glow. Not yet here, not yet loud, but closer with every season. The city of Rome sleeps, but the empire is wide, so wide, and the night does not fall the same everywhere. Far away, beyond the rivers, beyond the forests, beyond the mountains, Others wake, others move, others dream. Close your eyes. Imagine the forest to the north. Tall trees rise into the mist. The air is damp, filled with the smell of pine and wet earth. A fire burns low in a clearing. Around it, families gather. They are not Romans. Their clothes are made of furs and woven cloth. Their language is rougher. Their voice is lower. Children sit close to their mothers, their faces bright with firelight. Men speak in murmurs, pointing toward the south, toward the land of Rome. For the Romans, these people were called barbarians, a word that meant strange, foreign, other, but in truth, they were families, fathers, mothers, children. They tilled their fields, herded their animals, told their own stories of gods and heroes. They looked at Rome not only with envy, but with longing. Its roads, its cities, its harvests, all glimmered like treasures beyond the horizon. The Romans imagined them as endless waves of invaders, but many came not to conquer, but to settle, to find land, safety, food. They pressed at the borders, not always with swords, but with carts, with weary feet, with hope. Picture the banks of the Danube again. The water rushes, strong and restless. On one side, Roman watchtowers stand, their torches flickering in the night. On the other side, shapes gather in the dark, not an army, a people. Carts creak, oxen breathe clouds of steam. Children cry softly in the cold. They wait, staring across the river, staring at the empire. Some will cross, some will be turned away, some will be welcomed, at least for a time. And slowly, the borders will shift. In the east, too, shadows gather. Steppe winds sweep across the plains. Horses run, their hooves thundering softly against the earth. Riders bend low, cloaks streaming behind them. These are not farmers, but nomads. They move with the rhythm of the seasons, swift and untiring. The Romans hear their names whispered like storm winds. The Huns. They are not here yet, not fully, but their shadow stretches long. Their presence pushes other peoples forward, pressing them against Rome's borders like waves against stone. And the stone begins to strain, not with one crash, not with one battle, but with countless footsteps, with countless small movements that never cease. The empire that seemed eternal is now surrounded by new tides, not enemies alone, but neighbors, wanderers, settlers. The lines between them blur. A soldier may fight them one day and trade with them the next. A Roman farmer may see them as strangers, then later as kin by marriage. The world grows less certain, less simple, less eternal. Still, life within Rome continues. The city hums, the fountains whisper, the markets ring. But at the edges, where rivers meet forests, where deserts meet mountains, the shadows grow thicker. They are not storms yet, not invasions yet, but they are there, waiting, pressing. And you, drifting through this dream, feel the hush of the forests, the rumble of hooves, the murmur of distant languages. You see the torchlight on the watchtowers. You see the children by the firesides, and you understand the fall of Rome will not be a single blow. It will be the meeting of countless footsteps, countless lives, pressing gently, endlessly, against the marble walls. Walk now into the forests again. The air is thick with the scent of pine, the ground soft beneath fallen needles. Birds stir in the branches, their calls sharp, echoing across the stillness. Here, among the trees, the Gothic peoples live. They move with the rhythm of the seasons, their homes simple, their lives steady. Children run with wooden toys. Women weave cloth by the light of the fire. Men hunt quietly with bows. To Rome, they are strangers. To themselves, they are simply people. Their songs carry into the night. Their stories speak of ancestors, of heroes, of gods who watch over them. And always to the south lies the shimmering idea of Rome, its roads, its harvests, its endless stone walls. For some, Rome is a threat. For others, it is a hope. But for all, it is there, steady as the horizon. Imagine a Roman commander standing on the banks of the Danube, his armor polished, his cloak heavy, his face lined with years of service. He gazes across the water at the flicker of fires on the far shore. He does not hate the people there. He does not even fear them, but he knows they press closer each year. He feels it in the weight of reports, in the endless calls for reinforcements, in the tired eyes of his men. The river once felt like a barrier. Now it feels like a thread, stretched thin. Far to the west, the Franks and Vandals move across fields and valleys. Their wagons creak, their animals graze, their children walk beside them, clutching the hands of their mothers. They are not marching armies, not in this moment. They are wanderers, people searching for steadier ground. But to Rome, even wanderers are shadows. For every cart that rolls southward, for every family that crosses a river, the empire feels just a little less eternal. The myth of Rome was of walls unshaken, borders unbroken. The reality was softer, more complex. Borders were not lines carved in stone. They were shifting places, where languages mingled, where traders bartered, where marriages joined one world to another. Rome did not stand against the outside like a fortress forever locked. It breathed with its neighbors, sometimes drawing them in, sometimes pushing them back, and with each breath, it grew more weary. Picture now the eastern plains. The grass sways endlessly in the wind. Horses graze, their heads low, their manes whipping. Riders sit tall in the saddle, silent, scanning the horizon. These are the Huns, swift, fierce, unyielding. They are not yet upon Rome, but their movement shakes the world around it. Peoples flee before them, pressing against Rome's borders in desperate waves. One shadow pushes another, until the empire feels the weight of them all. And yet, even here, there is no single moment of doom. A child still laughs by a fire. A Roman soldier still sharpens his blade in the lamplight. A mother still carries water in a clay jar, humming a quiet tune. The world continues. The empire breathes, but the shadows gather, closer each year, closer each season. In the cities near the frontiers, life feels different from Rome. Walls stand taller, gates stronger, guards more watchful. Merchants still trade, but their eyes flick toward the horizon. Priests still pray, but their voices tremble just slightly. Children play in the dust, but they hear stories of strangers who may one day arrive. The sense of eternity is fainter here, the cracks more visible, the shadows heavier, and you, drifting through this dream, see both sides. You see the Romans, holding to their marble, their roads, their laws, and you see the others, drawn by hunger, by hope, by the glow of the empire's promise. Two worlds moving slowly toward one another, not in one great clash, but in countless small crossings. A family here, a band there, a soldier choosing to stay, a stranger welcomed in. The fall of Rome is not the crash of a wall. It is the blending of footsteps until the border itself fades. The torches on the watchtowers flicker. The fires in the forests burn low. The rivers flow between them, steady, endless, and the shadows on both sides wait. Wait for dawn. Wait for change. Wait for the slow turning of time that brings them closer, closer, closer. You walk now along a Roman road, straight as an arrow, stretching toward the horizon. Its stones are worn smooth, its ditches lined with grass. Once only legionaries marched here, their steps firm, their banners high. Now, others travel these paths, families with carts, their wheels creaking softly, oxen pulling heavy loads, children walking barefoot, their small feet dusty and tired. They follow the same roads as the soldiers once did, but their rhythm is slower, quieter. The roads that once carried conquest now carry migration. Some are welcomed. Roman governors grant them land, hoping for new farmers, new soldiers, new hands to keep the provinces alive. Strangers take Roman names. They learn Latin words. They worship Roman gods alongside their own. For a moment, the empire seems to grow not smaller, but larger, as it absorbs these newcomers. The myth of Rome as eternal feels alive again. So many peoples, yet still one empire, but not all are welcomed. Some are turned away, their carts left on the riverbank, their families scattered. Desperation grows. Patience fades. The same roads that carried traders and settlers one season may carry restless bands the next. The line between migration and invasion is thin, shifting with hunger, with fear, with hope. Picture a Roman farmer in the provinces. His field stretches wide, golden in the sun. He leans on his hoe, sweat on his brow, watching as strangers settle on the land beside him. At first, he feels uneasy. The words are foreign, the customs strange. But days pass. He sees their children playing with his children. He sees their crops growing, their animals grazing, and slowly the unease softens. The border is no longer a line. It is a place of meeting. Yet Rome itself does not always see this softness. In the Senate, men argue about strangers, about loyalty, about strength. Some demand welcome, others demand resistance. The voices rise, echoing through marble halls, while outside, life continues in its quiet blending. Rome imagines control. Reality moves on without waiting. And so the empire changes, not in one night, not in one battle, but in 1,000 small crossings, 1,000 footsteps echoing on Roman roads, 1,000 voices learning to speak new words, 1,000 families reshaping the edges of the empire, by the rivers, by the forests, by the deserts. The shadows lengthen, no longer only enemies, no longer only strangers, but not Romans, not yet. Something in between, something new. The torches on the watchtowers flicker again. The soldiers gaze into the dark, their eyes heavy, their thoughts uncertain. They see the fires of strangers burning across the river. They hear children crying, oxen lowing, carts creaking, and they know the border is not what it once was. The marble has cracks, the shadows have voices. The eternal city is no longer alone in its dream. And so the night falls. The forests grow quiet. The rivers shine under the moon. The strangers wait. The soldiers wait. The empire waits. Not for a storm, not for a sudden collapse, but for the slow, steady meeting of worlds. The empire is wide, the borders strain, the people move, and in the center, on the throne of Rome, figures come and go. Close your eyes. Imagine a great hall. Its marble floor gleams in torchlight. Columns rise high, their shadows stretching like tall trees. At the far end, a throne stands, golden, heavy, gleaming. But the man upon it changes. One moment, a young face, proud and confident. The next, an older man, weary, his brow furrowed. Then another, and another. Each appears, each sits in the glow of power, each fades into shadow. Once the emperors seemed eternal. Augustus, calm and steady. Trajan, strong and triumphant. Hadrian, thoughtful and wandering. They seemed to embody Rome itself, their names carved deep in stone. But now they pass more quickly, one after another. Some reign for years, some for months, some only for days. The throne does not rest. The marble feels colder, the golden glow less certain. Step closer. Look at their faces. Some are proud, draped in purple robes, their heads crowned with laurel. Some are frightened, eyes darting, hands trembling. Some are ruthless, voices sharp, their commands echoing like iron. But all of them, every one, feels like a shadow, here, then gone. A name whispered for a moment, then lost in the hum of time. Think of Diocletian. He divides the empire, east and west, hoping to ease the burden. His plan is grand, his vision wide, but even he, with all his power, steps down. He retreats to his garden to tend to cabbages, leaving the throne behind. A shadow, gone. Think of Constantine. He sees a new faith rising, a faith of crosses and hymns, of prayers whispered in hidden rooms. He embraces it, builds churches, sets the cross upon his banners. For a moment, the empire feels whole again, guided by new light. But Constantine too fades, his body laid to rest, his shadow stretching briefly before vanishing. Others rise, generals, politicians, soldiers lifted by ambition or by chance. Some shine for a moment, some vanish almost before they are seen. One is killed by rivals, one dies in sickness, one falls on the battlefield. The details blur, the names blur, the years blur. What remains is the rhythm, a throne never steady, a crown passed too often, a dream of power that slips like water through the hands. Imagine the people watching, a craftsman in his shop, a farmer in his field, a mother with her child. Do they know the emperor's name? Perhaps, perhaps not. What matters is not the man on the throne, but the rhythm of bread, of work, of silence at night. The emperors fade in and out, but the people remain, living their quiet lives beneath the shifting shadows. And still, the myth of eternity lingers. Each emperor claims it. Each stands before the people, promising strength, promising peace. But the promises sound thinner, the voices less steady, the crowds less certain. Even in the heart of Rome, the sense of permanence begins to tremble. You drift now through the palace corridors. Curtains of purple sway in the breeze. Guards stand stiff, their eyes blank with fatigue. Behind closed doors, whispers ripple. Plots, betrayals, alliances. The throne glows in the distance, but it is like a lantern in fog. Its light flickers. Its warmth does not last. The emperors are passing shadows. Once They were the heart of Rome. Now they are figures in a dream, glimpsed, then gone. And as they fade, so too does the illusion of eternity. You move now across the empire, to the east, to the west, two halves of one whole, no longer fully joined. The marble city of Rome still glows, but far away, on the shores of the Bosporus, another city rises, Constantinople. Its walls new, its domes gleaming, its harbors filled with ships. Rome once believed itself the eternal center. Now power begins to lean eastward, toward this younger sibling, fresh and strong. The emperors feel this shift. Some reign in Rome, some in Ravenna, where marshes guard the sea. Others in Constantinople, gazing across the waters at Asia and beyond. The throne no longer feels like one throne. It flickers, moving, divided, uncertain. The empire remains, but its heart beats in two different places. And with each change of emperor, the people grow more weary. Names pass like clouds. One morning, the statues bear one face. The next, they are replaced, broken, recarved. A farmer may not bother to learn the new name. A craftsman shrugs, returns to his work. The emperor is distant, a shadow on a throne too far away to touch their daily lives. Still, the palace rituals continue. Trumpets sound, courts assemble, golden coins are struck with new faces. Edicts are read aloud in solemn voices. On the surface, the rhythm of power endures, but beneath it the ground trembles. The emperors grow less like masters, more like candles flickering in a draught. Their light shines briefly, then fades. Think of Honorius, a young emperor in Ravenna. He rules while the city of Rome itself is threatened, while its gates tremble, while its people wait in fear. But Honorius sits in safety, far away, his eyes distant, his hands uncertain. The empire's heart is divided, the emperor in one place, the people in another. The shadow lengthens. Think of Valentinian, a boy emperor, his crown too heavy for his small head. He stands before his people, guided by advisors, his voice soft, his steps unsure. To some, he is a symbol of hope. To others, a sign of weakness. Another shadow passing. Think of Theodosius, who tries to hold the empire together with faith, with law, with sheer will. For a moment, the dream of unity flickers bright. But then he too fades, and the empire splits again, east and west, never fully whole. The emperors are remembered in stone, in books, in whispers. But here, in the dream of history, they are not mighty conquerors. They are fragile figures, their robes heavy, their crowns slipping, their faces blurred. One rises, one falls, one commands, one hides, one prays, one fights. But all of them drift like shadows across the marble floor. The people feel this instability, though not always in words. They feel it in the thinness of coins, in the wariness of soldiers, in the cracks of walls. They feel it in the silence after decrees, in the uncertainty of tomorrow. The emperors promise eternity, but the promises sound faint, distant, carried away by the wind. And yet, life goes on. Bread is still baked, fountains still flow, children still play in the dust of the streets. The emperors pass like clouds, but the rhythm of daily life continues, steady as breath. The fall of Rome is not felt in the palace first. It is felt in the quiet, in the waiting, in the slow shift of faith from permanence to doubt. Picture again the great hall with its throne. The torches burn low. The marble floor gleams faintly. The throne itself seems eternal, but the man upon it fades. One after another, they sit, they speak, they vanish. The throne remains. The empire remains. But the figures are only passing shadows. And as their light flickers, the world beyond the walls grows louder. Voices at the borders, families on the roads, the hum of migration, the whisper of change. The emperors try to hold it all, but their hands are too small, their grasp too weak. The dream of eternity slips further away. At night, the palace grows quiet. The torches burn low, their flames trembling. The corridors stretch long and empty. The marble floors cold beneath the hush of footsteps. Guards stand in stillness, their armor glinting faintly, their eyes heavy with silence. Behind closed doors, emperors sleep uneasily. Dreams come to them, restless, filled with shadows. The throne, even in darkness, seems to glow faintly, as if waiting for another to sit upon it. In one chamber, a statue of Augustus still stands, his face calm, his hand lifted in command, his presence steady. He has not changed, not shifted, not faded. Stone endures where men do not. The emperors of the present walk beneath his gaze, their heads bowed, their hearts unsure. They know they will not be remembered as he was. They know their names will blur, their faces vanish, their voices fade, and so they cling to rituals, coins struck with their image, edicts proclaimed in their name, triumphs staged in their honor. But the coins thin, the edicts falter, the triumphs echo weakly, less convincing each time. The shadows lengthen, and the emperors pass through them like figures in a dream. Imagine standing in the great hall once more, the throne before you, the marble rising high, the silence pressing close. The emperor upon the throne is blurred, his features soft, his outline fading. You blink, and he is gone. Another sits in his place, then fades as well. And another, like candle flames flickering one after another in a draught. The throne endures, but the figures cannot. The people do not gather to mourn each emperor. They do not mark each passing with grief. They shrug, they whisper, they continue. Bread must be baked. Fields must be tended. Children must be raised. The emperors are shadows above them, faint, shifting, distant. And so you leave the hall. You step into the night air. The stars spread wide above, silent and eternal. The city hums faintly below, and the emperors remain behind you, drifting in their endless succession, their names dissolving into silence. Rome is no longer carried by the strength of one steady hand. It is carried by the quiet endurance of its people, by the faint glow of its marble, by the memory of what it once was. But the cracks widen, the shadows deepen, and the emperors fade more quickly. The dream of eternity grows thinner. And you know, the story must now turn away from palaces and shadows toward the lives of those who bear the weight of this fading world. The marble halls vanish. The throne disappears. You drift back into the streets, into the courtyards, into the fields, back to the heart of daily life. For it is there, in the lives of ordinary Romans, that the fall of Rome is most deeply felt. The marble fades behind you. The torches of the palace grow distant, and you return now to the streets, where life continues, steady as breath. The dawn is pale. Mist lingers along the riverbanks. The first sounds of the city rise, the bark of dogs, the creak of wagons, the low hum of voices. Rome is still alive, but if you listen closely, the rhythm has changed. A baker rises early. He kneads dough on a worn wooden table, his hands moving with quiet skill. The oven glows, warm and steady, the air filled with the scent of smoke and rising bread. He hums to himself, softly, though his eyes flick toward the small pile of grain beside him. Less than last year, less than the year before. Still, he works, steady, unhurried. The bread must be ready when the market opens. In a courtyard, a mother draws water from a clay jar. Her children sit beside her, their faces bright with sleep. She braids her daughter's hair, wipes her son's dusty cheek, speaks to them in gentle tones. Her words are not of emperors or borders. Her words are of food, of chores, of the day ahead. The empire fades in distant halls, but here, life continues in small circles of care. Step further, and you find a farmer in his field. The soil is dry, the sky cloudless. He bends low, sowing seeds, his back aching, his breath slow. Once the empire sent strong tools, sturdy wagons, steady coin. Now the tools are duller, the wagons broken, the coins thin. Still he plants. Still he hopes the earth will answer. The field is his world, and he will not leave it, even as the empire shifts around him. In the markets, voices rise as they always have. Merchants spread their cloths, jars and baskets. The smell of olives, of fish, of figs fills the square. Coins clink, words mingle, feet shuffle on stone. But the goods are fewer, the price is higher, the face is warier. A woman counts her coins twice, then sets aside the figs she cannot afford. A man shakes his head at the price of oil, but buys it still, for his family waits at home. The market lives, but its hum is thinner, its rhythm slower. The myth of Rome as eternal is strongest here. The people live as if it will never end. They sweep their steps, wash their clothes, light their lamps, as their parents did, as their children will. But beneath the repetition lies a change they cannot name. A sense that the world grows heavier, that the walls no longer hold as firmly as before. You wander into a bathhouse. Steam curls in the air, warm and thick. Men recline on benches, their voices soft, their bodies weary. They speak of small things, the weather, the harvest, a neighbor's illness. Rarely do they speak of emperors, rarely of wars. Those matters feel distant, like storms far out at sea. Their world is here, in the warmth of the water, in the comfort of routine. Yet even here, cracks appear. The marble is chipped, the water not as clean, the attendants fewer, the silence deeper. The bathhouse remains, but its glow is dimmer. The fall of Rome is not a sudden fire, not a thunderous crash. It is the dimming of lamps, one by one, the baker stretching his grain, the farmer mending his broken tool, the mother buying less at the market, the bathhouse quieter than before, each change small, almost invisible. Together they weave a twilight, and still life continues. Children laugh, chasing one another through narrow streets. Young lovers walk by the river, whispering dreams. Old men sit in doorways, telling stories of earlier days. The empire fades, but the human heart endures, steady, unhurried, endlessly adapting. You pause in the street. The sun is high now, shining on worn stones. The walls of the city rise around you, proud yet tired. The voices hum, the air stirs, the world breathes. This is daily life in a fading world. Not broken, not destroyed, but softened, dimmed, stretched thin. And as evening comes once more, the city glows faintly in the twilight. Children carried home, markets closed, torches lit. Another day lived, another day survived. Rome continues, not eternal, not unshaken, but still alive. Step now beyond the city walls. The countryside stretches wide, dotted with small villages, farms, and scattered villas. The air is fresher here, scented with grass and earth. Birds rise from fields, their wings flashing in the sun. Shepherds move slowly across hillsides, their flocks cluttering close, bells chiming softly. Here, life is quieter, simpler, but it is also harder. The soil, once rich and carefully tended, feels thinner. Tools, once sturdy, are patched and worn. The roads, once smooth and clear, crumble at the edges, weeds sprouting between stones. Farmers walk them anyway, carts creaking, wheels uneven. Their world is smaller than the empire, smaller even than Rome. It is bounded by the fields they sow, the rivers they drink from, the paths they know by heart. They hear of emperors, of battles, of distant events, but only faintly. The news comes slowly, like echoes across valleys, a rumor carried by a traveler, a name whispered in the marketplace. But their concerns are nearer. Will the harvest be enough? Will the well run dry? Will the children grow strong? In the cities, life has its own rhythm. Streets crowded, markets noisy, temples rising above rooftops. Yet even here, the signs of fading are clear. Walls left unrepaired, public fountains running dry, amphitheaters no longer filled with voices, but standing silent, their stones cracked by time. Children still climb their steps, playing in shadows where once thousands roared. The echo of greatness lingers, softened into memory, and in the hearts of both city and countryside, another change stirs. The old gods grow quieter. Jupiter, Mars, Venus. Their temples stand, their statues watch, but the incense burns less often, the prayers less loud. In small houses, in hidden rooms, in quiet churches, new hymns rise. Crosses carved into stone, candles flickering before simple altars. The faith of Christ spreads softly, steadily, a whisper growing into a hum. For some, it is hope. For others, loss. The old world shifts into a new one, not with thunder, but with a steady breath. Picture a family at evening. They sit in a small room, oil lamps glowing. The father tells stories of Rome's past, of generals, of emperors, of battles won. The children listen, wide-eyed, though their world feels smaller than the stories. The mother hums, her voice soft, her hands busy with cloth. They bow their heads before a simple cross, whispering a prayer. The old gods sleep in silence. The new faith carries their hopes. The fall of Rome is not only cracks in marble, not only shadows at borders, not only emperors fading. It is this, the slow shift in daily life, a shift in faith, in work, in memory, a shift so gentle that those living it may not see it at all. And yet, exhaustion lingers. The roads are long, the taxes heavy, the soldiers weary. A farmer walks home with a sack of grain, his steps slow, his back bent. A mother counts her coins, her brow furrowed. A craftsman sharpens a dull blade again and again, wishing for the strong iron of earlier days. These are not dramatic struggles. They are the quiet weight of a fading world. Still, within that weight, there is hope. Children laugh. Fields bloom. Songs rise in the evening air. Life does not end. Even as Rome shifts, it continues. Softer, dimmer, but still warm. The empire may fade, but the people endure. And as night falls once more, the city and the countryside alike grow quiet. Lamps flicker in windows. Fires glow low in hearths. Voices murmur. Prayers rise. Dreams unfold. The world breathes, steady, unhurried, in the twilight of an empire. You walk now through the remains of an amphitheater. Its arches still stand, tall against the evening sky, though cracks run along their edges. Weeds sprout between stones, birds nest in high corners. Once this place shook with voices, thousands cheering, shouting, singing. Now only the wind passes through, whispering against the walls. Children play in the dust, their laughter echoing faintly, small against the vast silence. The stones remember what the people forget. They hold the sound of ages past, but they do not speak it aloud. Step away, down a narrow street. Here, a home glows with lamplight. Inside, a family gathers around a small table. Bread is broken, wine poured, words exchanged in quiet tones. Their lives are small, but alive. The empire may fade outside their walls, but here there is warmth, there is love, there is continuity. This is the truth of Rome's twilight. Great monuments crumble, but homes endure. Statues fall silent, but voices rise in kitchens and courtyards. Emperors fade, but children are born, grow, and laugh. The empire unravels, but life continues in smaller, softer patterns. The myth said Rome was eternal, unshaken, everlasting. The reality is more tender. Rome breathes out slowly, gently, becoming something else. Not gone, not destroyed, but transformed into new rhythms, new lives. As the night deepens, you pause once more. The city lies before you, quiet and dim. Fires flicker. Smoke rises in thin streams. Stars glow above. In the silence, you feel both loss and endurance. The grandeur of an empire fading, the persistence of people carrying on. And so, you let the scene fade with you. The amphitheater dissolves into shadow. The home grows dim, its lamplight flickering out. The world softens into sleep. The daily life of Rome in its twilight is not a story of endings, but of continuance. Small, unbroken, steady, a world fading, but never gone. The empire breathes in twilight, yet around them, the great structures of Rome begin to loosen. Its people continue their lives baking, farming, praying, singing. Gold and crimson, blue and green. Imagine a tapestry, woven with countless threads. For centuries the threads have held together, tight and strong, making a picture vast and beautiful. Now one by one, they begin to slip. A thread there, a thread here. The streets are still there, laid in stone, not torn, not cut, simply loosened by time, by wear, by quiet hands pulling gently. Step into a Roman city. The temples still rise, proud and white. The aqueduct arches still stretch across valleys, carrying water. But the hum has softened. Shops that once bustled with traders stand half empty. Stalls that once overflowed with goods show fewer wares. The voices echo thinner against the stone walls. Caravans move more cautiously. The roads, once smooth as ribbons, grow rough, broken by years without repair. Trade has slowed. The empire's veins, roads, rivers, harbors still flow, but more faintly. Ships still sail, but their cargo is lighter, their journeys fewer. Merchants hesitate at borders where strangers now gather. The lifeblood of goods and news grows thinner. Picture an aqueduct, carrying water across hills into the heart of a city. For centuries, it has flowed steady, a marvel of stone and skill. But now, a crack runs along its side. The water still flows, but less of it reaches the fountains. A section crumbles. People gather with jars at smaller wells. Their voices quiet, their patience long. The aqueduct stands, but it is not eternal. Nothing is. A child studies letters scratched on a wax tablet. And still, in homes, life continues. A family lights a fire. A grandmother tells stories of Romulus, of Augustus, of days when Rome ruled without question. The child listens, wide-eyed. Though outside the walls, the world feels smaller. The stories grow taller, brighter, grander, while the present feels quieter, dimmer, thinner. The unraveling is not only of stone and trade, it is also of culture, of memory. Schools that once thrived with rhetoric and philosophy now sit quieter. Teachers speak to fewer pupils, their voices carrying through half-empty rooms. Libraries hold scrolls, but dust gathers thicker on the shelves. The words endure, but fewer eyes read them, fewer hands copy them. The brilliance of Rome lingers, but it is fading into silence. Religion shifts too. Temples that once rang with the cries of sacrifice grow still. The smoke of incense rises less often. Old statues watch in silence as crosses are carved into stone. Churches glow with candles, their walls echoing with new hymns. The gods of Rome become shadows, their voices quiet in the hearts of the people. The unraveling does not come with one great crash. The new faith takes root, soft but steady, carrying hope into the dimming world. With the silence of classrooms and the dust of libraries, with the fading of laughter in the amphitheater, it comes with the thinning of voices in the marketplace, with the long, slow breath of a world shifting into something else. And yet, even in unraveling, there is beauty. The aqueduct arches still stand against the sky, noble even in ruin. The temples still gleam in twilight, their marble glowing with the last light of day. The roads still stretch across hills and valleys, leading onward, even if fewer feet walk upon them. The unraveling is gentle, poetic, inevitable. So you walk again through the streets at dusk, not an end, but a transformation. Shadows lengthen, lamps flicker. Rome is fading, but the world is not empty. The hum is softer now, but still there. Life persists, even as threads loosen, even as the tapestry changes. It is becoming something new, though those who live it cannot yet see the shape, not with thunder, but with silence. The empire unravels. Step now into a Roman theatre, not with sudden darkness, but with a slow dimming of the light. And you walk with it, steady, calm, dreamlike, into the twilight. Once, these seats were filled with thousands. The stone seats rise in wide curves, circling the stage below. The air rang with laughter, with applause, with voices raised in song. Actors strode across the stage, their masks painted bright, their gestures bold. Only a few gather. their voices quiet, their claps soft. But now, the crowd is thinner. The stage feels emptier, the air quieter. The theatre still stands, but its spirit has dimmed. The echo of joy lingers longer than the joy itself. But the marble walls are cracked, the mosaics faded, the attendants fewer. The water is still warm, the steam still curls upward. Walk further, into a bathhouse. Men soak in silence, where once the bathhouses bustled with life, filled with laughter and conversation. Now they are hushed. Women whisper quietly. Even the feasts grow smaller. Once, great villas hosted banquets of endless food, endless wine, endless talk. The place feels less like a center of life, more like a memory still breathing. Candles flicker against walls where torches once blazed. Fewer dishes, fewer guests, fewer songs. Now the tables are simpler. The empire breathes in twilight. Its people continue their lives baking, farming, praying, singing. Yet around them, the great structures of Rome begin to loosen. Imagine a tapestry, woven with countless threads, gold and crimson, blue and green. For centuries the threads have held together, tight and strong, making a picture vast and beautiful. Now one by one, they begin to slip. A thread here, a thread there, not torn, not cut, simply loosened by time, by wear, by quiet hands pulling gently. Step into a Roman city. The streets are still there, laid in stone. The aqueduct arches still stretch across valleys, carrying water. The temples still rise, proud and white. But the hum has softened. Shops that once bustled with traders stand half empty. Stalls that once overflowed with goods show fewer wares. The voices echo thinner against the stone walls. Trade has slowed. The roads once smooth as ribbons grow rough, broken by years without repair. Caravans move more cautiously. Merchants hesitate at borders where strangers now gather. Ships still sail, but their cargo is lighter, their journeys fewer. The empire's veins, roads, rivers, harbors still flow, but more faintly. The lifeblood of goods and news grows thinner. Picture an aqueduct, carrying water across hills into the heart of a city. For centuries, it has flowed steady, a marvel of stone and skill. But now, a crack runs along its side. A section crumbles. The water still flows, but less of it reaches the fountains. People gather with jars at smaller wells. Their voices quiet, their patience long. The aqueduct stands, but it is not eternal. Nothing is. And still, in homes, life continues. A family lights a fire. A child studies letters scratched on a wax tablet. A grandmother tells stories of Romulus, of Augustus, of days when Rome ruled without question. The child listens, wide-eyed. Though outside the walls, the world feels smaller. The stories grow taller, brighter, grander, while the present feels quieter, dimmer, thinner. The unraveling is not only of stone and trade, it is also of culture, of memory. Schools that once thrived with rhetoric and philosophy now sit quieter. Teachers speak to fewer pupils, their voices carrying through half-empty rooms. Libraries hold scrolls, but dust gathers thicker on the shelves. The words endure, but fewer eyes read them, fewer hands copy them. The brilliance of Rome lingers, but it is fading into silence. Religion shifts too. Temples that once rang with the cries of sacrifice grow still. The smoke of incense rises less often. Churches glow with candles, their walls echoing with new hymns. Old statues watch in silence as crosses are carved into stone. The gods of Rome become shadows, their voices quiet in the hearts of the people. The new faith takes root, soft but steady, carrying hope into the dimming world. The unraveling does not come with one great crash. It comes with the thinning of voices in the marketplace, with the fading of laughter in the amphitheater, with the silence of classrooms and the dust of libraries, with the long, slow breath of a world shifting into something else. And yet, even in unraveling, there is beauty. The aqueduct arches still stand against the sky, noble even in ruin. The temples still gleam in twilight, their marble glowing with the last light of day. The roads still stretch across hills and valleys, leading onward, even if fewer feet walk upon them. The unraveling is gentle, poetic, inevitable. Not an end, but a transformation. So you walk again through the streets at dusk. Shadows lengthen, lamps flicker. The hum is softer now, but still there. Life persists, even as threads loosen, even as the tapestry changes. Rome is fading, but the world is not empty. It is becoming something new, though those who live it cannot yet see the shape. The empire unravels, not with thunder, but with silence. Not with sudden darkness, but with the slow dimming of the light. And you walk with it, steady, calm, dreamlike, into the twilight. Step now into a Roman theatre. The stone seats rise in wide curves, circling the stage below. Once, these seats were filled with thousands. The air rang with laughter, with applause, with voices raised in song. Actors strode across the stage, their masks painted bright, their gestures bold. But now, the crowd is thinner. Only a few gather, their voices quiet, their claps soft. The stage feels emptier, the air quieter. The theatre still stands, but its spirit has dimmed. The echo of joy lingers longer than the joy itself. Walk further, into a bathhouse. The water is still warm, the steam still curls upward, but the marble walls are cracked, the mosaics faded, the attendants fewer. Where once the bathhouses bustled with life, filled with laughter and conversation, now they are hushed. Men soak in silence, women whisper quietly. The place feels less like a center of life, more like a memory still breathing. Even the feasts grow smaller. Once, great villas hosted banquets of endless food, endless wine, endless talk. Now the tables are simpler. Fewer dishes, fewer guests, fewer songs. Candles flicker against walls where torches once blazed. The laughter is softer, the music gentler. The grandeur of Rome lingers, but in a quieter, humbler key. The cities themselves shrink. Houses once filled stand empty. Shops once busy close their doors. Streets once crowded grow still. The people do not vanish all at once. They drift outward, into villages, into farms, into quieter places where life feels steadier. The great cities lose their weight, their hum, their glow. Rome herself remains, but her voice is softer, her steps slower, her walls tired. This is the unraveling, not sudden ruin, not fierce destruction, but slow retreat, slow fading, slow silence. The grandeur of Rome becomes a shadow of itself, still beautiful, still vast, but softer, dimmer, thinner. And yet, in this dimming, seeds are planted. The villages grow, the fields bloom, the churches rise. The old world gives way to the new, not with noise, but with quiet. The unraveling of Rome is also the weaving of another tapestry, different, smaller, but alive. Picture once more the aqueduct, cracked and broken in places, but still standing. Water still flows, not as much, not as strong, but enough to drink, enough to live. This is Rome in its twilight, not gone, not forgotten, but changed. And so, as night falls again, you stand at the edge of a city. The lamps glow faintly, the voices murmur low, the stones gleam with memory. You feel the unraveling, the loosening of threads, the dimming of grandeur, but you also feel the persistence of life, soft and steady, in the quiet world that remains. Rome is unraveling, and yet the world continues. The story does not end here. Chapter 7. After the fall, the long twilight deepens. The lamps of Rome burn lower. The voices of the emperors fade into silence. The roads grow quiet. The aqueducts crumble. The cities shrink. And yet the world does not end. The phrase "the fall of Rome" suggests a crash, a collapse, a sudden ruin. But in truth, it was a soft descent. A long sigh. The marble cracked, but it did not vanish. The roads wore down, but they still led onward. The people continued, steady, breathing, enduring. Imagine walking now through Rome herself. The city is quieter than before. The Colosseum stands, but empty, its arches home to birds and silence. The Senate House is closed, its doors heavy with dust. Temples rise, but their altars are cold, their gods forgotten. And yet the streets are not empty. Children still play in the dust. Mothers still call to them from doorways. Merchants still open their stalls, selling bread, oil, figs, wine. Life continues, smaller, humbler, but alive. Rome did not vanish into darkness. It transformed. The Western Empire unraveled, yes, but the Eastern Empire endured. In Constantinople, the domes gleamed, the markets bustled, the ships filled the harbors. For centuries more, the empire lived on in the East, carrying the flame of Rome under a new sky. And even where Rome faded, its memory lingered. The roads remained, the walls remained, the words remained. Latin still spoken in markets, still prayed in churches, still whispered in songs. The law of Rome, its order, its dream of unity, all of it endured, woven into the fabric of the world that followed. Picture a monk in a quiet cell. Centuries later, he bends over a parchment, copying words, letter by letter. His lamp burning low. The words are Roman, the history Roman, the memory Roman. Though the empire has faded, its spirit lives on through his hand. Rome whispers through ink, through prayer, through memory. And beyond the monks, beyond the cities, beyond the borders, the very shape of the world carries Rome. Villages built on Roman roads, churches raised with Roman stone, languages born from Latin, carrying echoes of Roman voices. Even in its fading, Rome plants itself in the soil of tomorrow. The fall of Rome is not only an ending, it is a beginning. From its twilight rises the dawn of something new. Kingdoms, faiths, languages, cultures. The grandeur is gone, the empire is dimmed, but its light flickers on in countless small flames. So you stand now among the ruins. The arches rise above you, noble in their silence. The stones are cool beneath your hand, worn smooth by centuries. You close your eyes, and you hear it still. The hum of the city, the laughter of children, the whisper of fountains, the voices of emperors, the prayers of saints. It is all here, woven into the air, lingering like the scent of smoke long after the fire is gone. Rome has fallen, and yet it has not. It lives in memory. It lives in language. It lives in the stones beneath your feet. It lives in you, listening now, breathing slowly, drifting into the dream of history. The empire is gone, but its shadow remains, soft, eternal, unbroken, a lullaby whispered through time. The empire has dimmed, yet life continues. Imagine a small village rising where once a Roman town thrived. The great bathhouse lies in ruins, its mosaics cracked, its fountains dry. But nearby, wooden homes stand, smoke curling from their chimneys. Children carry water from a well dug where the aqueduct no longer flows. The stones of the old forum are reused, built into walls, into hearths, into new lives. Rome is gone, yet it is present in every stone, every path, every word. The people no longer call themselves Romans. Not always. They are Goths, Franks, Vandals, Lombards. But they walk Roman roads. They live in Roman houses. They pray in churches built upon Roman temples. The empire is gone, yet its bones shape their days. In the countryside, fields still bloom. The wheat still ripens golden, bending in the wind. The grapes still grow heavy on the vine, pressed into wine. The olive trees still spread their silver leaves to the sun. The farmers may not serve emperors now. They may serve kings, or lords, or no one at all. But the rhythm is the same. Seed, harvest, feast, famine. The rhythm of life continues, carrying Rome quietly within it. In the east, Constantinople glows. Its walls rise tall, its harbors crowded, its domes shimmering. Here, Rome endures in another form. Emperors still sit upon thrones, their purple robes heavy, their crowns shining. Here, the laws of Rome remain strong. Here, scholars copy the words of Cicero, Virgil, and Livy. Here the Roman spirit still breathes, though under a new sky, with new faith, with new names. The empire lives on, not dead, but transformed. And in the West, though the empire has faded, its memory is stronger than its absence. Kings call themselves heirs of Rome. Popes call upon the legacy of Rome. Even the strangers who once pressed at its borders now wear Roman titles, write Roman words, pray Roman prayers. The fall of Rome is not the loss of a world, but the scattering of seeds, seeds that sprout across Europe, across centuries, into kingdoms, languages and nations. Picture now a monastery on a quiet hill. The air is cool, the stone walls thick, the bells tolling softly. Inside, monks bend over wooden desks, their lamps glowing faintly. They copy manuscripts by hand, line after line, word after word. In their careful strokes, Rome endures. Its history, its poetry, its laws, its faith, the voices of emperors, the wisdom of philosophers, the beauty of poets, all carried forward by quiet hands in silent rooms. This is how Rome survives. Not in armies, not in emperors, not in marble halls, but in memory, in words, in stones, in songs whispered to children at night. The empire has fallen, but its echo is everywhere. The myth of Rome eternal was not wrong. It was only misunderstood. Rome is not eternal as a single empire, unbroken and unshaken. It is eternal as a presence, a thread woven into everything that came after. The dream of Rome lingers, not as power, but as memory, and memory does not fade. So you stand once more among the ruins. The arches rise above you, broken yet noble. Grass grows between stones, wildflowers bloom in cracks, birds nest in high windows. The air is still, filled with the scent of earth, of dust, of time. And yet you do not feel sorrow, you feel calm, for you know Rome has not vanished. It has only transformed. The empire is gone, but its spirit walks beside you, in every language spoken, every road walked, every law remembered. Rome is not lost. It has become the ground beneath your feet. And as the night deepens, the stars spread wide, and the ruins glow pale beneath the moon. You feel the truth. Rome has fallen, and yet Rome is everywhere, soft, eternal, unbroken. The voices of the emperors fade into silence. The long twilight deepens. The lamps of Rome burn lower, and yet the world does not end. The roads grow quiet, the aqueducts crumble, the cities shrink. The phrase "the fall of Rome" suggests a crash, a collapse, a sudden ruin. The roads wore down, but they still led onward. But in truth, it was a soft descent, a long sigh. The marble cracked, but it did not vanish. The people continued, steady, breathing, enduring. Imagine walking now through Rome herself. The city is quieter than before. The Senate House is closed, its doors heavy with dust. The Colosseum stands, but empty, its arches home to birds and silence. Temples rise, but their altars are cold, their gods forgotten. And yet the streets are not empty. Children still play in the dust. Mothers still call to them from doorways. Merchants still open their stalls, selling bread, oil, figs, wine. Life continues, smaller, humbler, but alive. Rome did not vanish into darkness. It transformed. In Constantinople, the domes gleamed, the markets bustled, the ships filled the harbors. The Western Empire unraveled. Yes, but the Eastern Empire endured. For centuries more, the empire lived on in the East, carrying the flame of Rome under a new sky. And even where Rome faded, its memory lingered. The roads remained, the walls remained, the words remained. Latin still spoken in markets, still prayed in churches, still whispered in songs. The law of Rome, its order, its dream of unity, all of it endured, woven into the fabric of the world that followed. Picture a monk in a quiet cell. Centuries later, he bends over a parchment, copying words, letter by letter, his lamp burning low. The words are Roman, the history Roman, the memory Roman. And beyond the monks, beyond the cities, beyond the borders, the very shape of the world carries Rome. Rome whispers through ink, through prayer, through memory. Though the empire has faded, its spirit lives on through his hand. Villages built on Roman roads, languages born from Latin, carrying echoes of Roman voices, churches raised with Roman stone. Even in its fading, Rome plants itself in the soil of tomorrow. It is a beginning. The fall of Rome is not only an ending. From its twilight rises the dawn of something new. Kingdoms, faiths, languages, cultures. The grandeur is gone. The empire is dimmed. But its light flickers on in countless small flames. So you stand now among the ruins. The arches rise above you, noble in their silence. The stones are cool beneath your hand, worn smooth by centuries. You close your eyes, and you hear it still, The hum of the city, the laughter of children, the whisper of fountains, the voices of emperors, the prayers of saints. It is all here, woven into the air, lingering like the scent of smoke long after the fire has gone. Rome has fallen, and yet it has not. It lives in memory. It lives in the stones beneath your feet. It lives in language. The long twilight deepens. The lamps of Rome burn lower. The voices of the emperors fade into silence. The roads grow quiet. The aqueducts crumble. The cities shrink. And yet the world does not end. The phrase "the fall of Rome" suggests a crash, a collapse, a sudden ruin. But in truth, it was a soft descent, a long sigh. The marble cracked, but it did not vanish. The roads wore down, but they still led onward. The people continued, steady, breathing, enduring. Imagine walking now through Rome herself. The city is quieter than before. The Colosseum stands, but empty, its arches home to birds and silence. The Senate House is closed, its doors heavy with dust. Temples rise, but their altars are cold, their gods forgotten. And yet the streets are not empty. Children still play in the dust. Mothers still call to them from doorways. Merchants still open their stalls, selling bread, oil, figs, wine. Life continues, smaller, humbler, but alive. Rome did not vanish into darkness. It transformed. The Western Empire unraveled. Yes, but the Eastern Empire endured. In Constantinople, the domes gleamed, the markets bustled, the ships filled the harbors. For centuries more, the empire lived on in the East, carrying the flame of Rome under a new sky. And even where Rome faded, its memory lingered. The roads remained, the walls remained, the words remained. Latin still spoken in markets, still prayed in churches, still whispered in songs. The law of Rome, its order, its dream of unity, all of it endured, woven into the fabric of the world that followed. Picture a monk in a quiet cell. Centuries later, he bends over a parchment, copying words, letter by letter, his lamp burning low. The words are Roman, the history Roman, the memory Roman. Though the empire has faded, its spirit lives on through his hand. Rome whispers through ink, through prayer, through memory. And beyond the monks, beyond the cities, beyond the borders, the very shape of the world carries Rome. Villages built on Roman roads, churches raised with Roman stone, languages born from Latin, carrying echoes of Roman voices. Even in its fading, Rome plants itself in the soil of tomorrow. The fall of Rome is not only an ending, it is a beginning. From its twilight rises the dawn of something new. Kingdoms, faiths, languages, cultures. The grandeur is gone, the empire is dimmed, but its light flickers on in countless small flames. So you stand now among the ruins. The arches rise above you, noble in their silence. The stones are cool beneath your hand, worn smooth by centuries. You close your eyes, and you hear it still, the hum of the city, the laughter of children, the whisper of fountains, the voices of emperors, the prayers of saints. It is all here, woven into the air, lingering like the scent of smoke long after the fire has gone. Rome has fallen, and yet it has not. It lives in memory. It lives in language. It lives in the stones beneath your feet. It lives in you, listening now, breathing slowly, drifting into the dream of history. The empire is gone, but its shadow remains, soft, eternal, unbroken, a lullaby whispered through time. The empire has dimmed, yet life continues. Imagine a small village rising, where once a Roman town thrived. The great bathhouse lies in ruins, its mosaics cracked, its fountains dry. But nearby, wooden homes stand, smoke curling from their chimneys. Children carry water from a well dug where the aqueduct no longer flows. The stones of the old forum are reused, built into walls, into hearths, into new lives. Rome is gone, yet it is present in every stone, every path, every word. The people no longer call themselves Romans, not always. They are Goths, Franks, Vandals, Lombards, but they walk Roman roads. They live in Roman houses. They pray in churches built upon Roman temples. The empire is gone, yet its bones shape their days. In the countryside, fields still bloom. The wheat still ripens golden, bending in the wind. The grapes still grow heavy on the vine, pressed into wine. The olive trees still spread their silver leaves to the sun. The farmers may not serve emperors now. They may serve kings or lords, or no one at all. But the rhythm is the same. Seed, harvest, feast, famine. The rhythm of life continues, carrying Rome quietly within it. In the east, Constantinople glows. Its walls rise tall, its harbors crowded, its domes shimmering. Here, Rome endures in another form. Emperors still sit upon thrones, their purple robes heavy, their crowns shining. Here, the laws of Rome remain strong. Here scholars copy the words of Cicero, Virgil, and Livy. Here the Roman spirit still breathes, though under a new sky, with new faith, with new names. The empire lives on, not dead but transformed. And in the West, though the empire has faded, its memory is stronger than its absence. Kings call themselves heirs of Rome. Popes call upon the legacy of Rome. Even the strangers who once pressed at its borders now wear Roman titles, write Roman words, pray Roman prayers. The fall of Rome is not the loss of a world, but the scattering of seeds. Seeds that sprout across Europe, across centuries, into kingdoms, languages and nations. Picture now a monastery on a quiet hill. The air is cool, the stone walls thick, the bells tolling softly. Inside, monks bend over wooden desks, their lamps glowing faintly. They copy manuscripts by hand, line after line, word after word. In their careful strokes, Rome endures. Its history, its poetry, its laws, its faith, the voices of emperors, the wisdom of philosophers, the beauty of poets, all carried forward by quiet hands in silent rooms. This is how Rome survives, not in armies, not in emperors, not in marble halls, but in memory, in words, in stones, in songs whispered to children at night. The empire has fallen, but its echo is everywhere. The myth of Rome eternal was not wrong. It was only misunderstood. Rome is not eternal as a single empire, unbroken and unshaken. It is eternal as a presence, a thread woven into everything that came after. The dream of Rome lingers, not as power, but as memory, and memory does not fade, so you stand once more among the ruins. The arches rise above you, broken yet noble. Grass grows between stones, wildflowers bloom in cracks, birds nest in high windows. The air is still, filled with the scent of earth, of dust, of time, and yet you do not feel sorrow. You feel calm, for you know Rome has not vanished. It is only transformed. The empire is gone, but its spirit walks beside you in every language spoken, every road walked, every law remembered. Rome is not lost. It has become the ground beneath your feet. And as the night deepens, the stars spread wide, and the ruins glow pale beneath the moon, you feel the truth. Rome has fallen, and yet Rome is everywhere, soft, eternal, unbroken. And so our long walk through the fall of Rome comes to an end. You have wandered through marble streets at the height of empire. You have seen cracks in the stone, shadows at the borders, emperors fading like candle flames. You have walked among bakers and farmers, families and children, living in the twilight of a world once thought eternal. You have watched the slow unraveling of cities, of trade, of grandeur, and you have stood among the ruins, quiet and calm, knowing that even in falling, Rome endured. The fall of Rome was never only an ending, it was a transformation, a soft twilight that gave way to new dawns, to new voices, to new lives. The empire slipped away, but its spirit lingered in stone, in language, in faith, in memory. And so it lingers still, even now in the roads beneath our feet, in the words upon our tongues, in the very shape of our world. As you rest here, you can let that truth comfort you. The world does not end suddenly. It changes, it transforms, it carries forward into something new, just as Rome did, just as you do, with every breath, every dream, every moment. Now let the story fade around you. Let the arches dissolve into mist. Let the torches dim, the river quiet, the voices drift away into silence. You are left with calm, with stillness, with the gentle rhythm of your own breath. Rome has fallen. Rome has endured. Rome has become memory, and memory is eternal. Close your eyes. Feel the calm settle deeper. Let go of the weight of time, of history, of thought. Rest now, in the soft shadow of Rome, in the quiet embrace of sleep. Good night.